What's up, everybody? We're talking books again today. This is Matthew. Thanks for checking into the channel. Listen, if you've already watched my top 100 book series, and you probably already know everything I'm going to say today in this particular video, so I can just refer you back to those. I broke them down from 100 to 75, 75 to 50, 50 to 25, and 25 down to the top #1 book in my list. It's my list, and if you made a list, it'd probably be very, very different from the list that I came up with, but nevertheless, these are, in my view, the best 100 books out there. Mostly Christian, I'm going to be honest, because of my own interests and my own reading. So most of these are Christian books, though not exclusively. But I thought what I'd do today is take a look at my list from a different perspective, namely, best book in every genre or category of literature. Okay, it's just a different way to stack it up. You're going to see some of the same books that I've already talked about in previous videos, but nevertheless, this time ranking them by genre and category. So if I asked you what's better, a Ferrari or a Ford Explorer, I don't know, you'd probably say Ferrari, but it depends on what category we're talking about, right? The genre. And the same thing is true for books. My list may be stacked heavy with too many systematic theologies and not enough fiction or something like that. But so I thought this would be a better way, or at least another way, to look at what I think are the best books available. So with that being said, let's get right to it. We're going to award a red ribbon in every category of literature. And let's start off with fantasy fiction, The Hobbit. I love The Hobbit. Some of you were very upset with me that I did not put the Lord of the Rings trilogy on my top 100 list. So Hobbit gets it for me. I love it. It's a dragon story. Can't improve on that. The Hobbit is a great book. Read it out loud with your kids. They'll love it too. For autobiography, this was my #4 book overall. This was St. Augustine's The Confessions. I love this book. It's precious. One of the all-time greatest books ever written. If you have not read this one, you absolutely must. So that wins the red ribbon for autobiography. For children's fiction, obviously I put The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and the rest of the Chronicles of Narnia. Somebody busted me on Twitter the other day for posting this and saying it was a fiction, whereas perhaps more accurately, it might actually be theological allegory or theological typology. So maybe that would be a subset category underneath the category of children's fiction. And even I give this the red ribbon for children's fiction, but I have to admit I love these books as much or more than my own children do. So there's that. Next, the best systematic theology, and I did have quite a few of them on my list, was John Calvin's Institutes of the Christian Religion, which won the overall 3rd place award in my top 100 ranking system. But I love the Institutes. It's great. I've read it all the way through, and I refer back to it quite a bit. It is one of those books that helped to define its own genre. This becomes kind of the standard Protestant and especially Reformed systematic theology book, about which many others are going to emulate and follow after in suit after John Calvin. Got to have that one on the list. The best for personal devotion. Now, there's other kinds of devotions. I thought about making different kinds of devotions as a subcategory, but if you're looking for a devotional book, the best one ever written is Morning and Evening by Charles Spurgeon. Gives you one page, one text, beautiful stuff, very rich and profound. I'm moved every time I read Morning and Evening. As for commentaries, Calvin is back on the list. You can tell I'm Reformed and Presbyterian, right? John Calvin's commentaries, all 20+ volumes of them, are fantastic. Calvin does historical, grammatical commentary from a Reformed Protestant perspective. It's still never been improved on, even to this day, some 500 years later. The best book in the category of confessional literature would be the Westminster Confession of Faith. I do have the Heidelberg Catechism as well in my top 25 list, but the Westminster Confession was actually my #2 book overall, probably one of the books that I consult more often, except for perhaps Holy Scripture. Okay, that'd be obviously the best. And I didn't rank Scripture because it's in a category of itself, okay? So my top 100 list, of course, Scripture is the best. Everybody knows that. But we're talking about books in other categories of genre today. The best hymnal, also in my top 25, the Trinity Hymnal. Now, there's other great ones out there. And I probably should have included a Psalter here, but for the sake of a hymnal category, the Trinity Hymnal is a great one. For dystopia, I give the award to the book 1984. Now, there are other great dystopias on my list. Really like Fahrenheit 451. I really like Animal Farm by the same author here, George Orwell, but 1984 gets the book award for Best Dystopia. Pilgrim's Progress wins it for allegory, and this was in fact my #1 overall book in my top 100 list. It's the best book ever written, except for the Bible, obviously. But man, Pilgrim's Progress is rich, deep, devotional, pious, helpful, sanctifying, entertaining. It's got pretty much anything you could ever look for in a book, which is why it's my #1 book overall. The best biography. Now, we talked about autobiography, and we gave that award to Augustine, but here we're going to give the best biography to a Jonathan Edwards scholar called George Marsden, who wrote, in my view, again, totally personal opinions here, the best biography is Jonathan Edwards' A Life by George Marsden. Love this one. Of course, I consult it all the time as an Edwards scholar. Next category, short biography. Now, this is a little bit different of a genre, and maybe you could argue that I should have lumped these two together. But I really love John Piper's 21 Servants of Sovereign Joy. And actually, somebody just gave me the updated edition, 27 Servants of Sovereign Joy. This book has recently been updated, so that's a great one out there. Love these. So many little biographical sketches. I just had to include this in my list. I really, really enjoy this book. Short story, forget this title, forget this cover. What you're looking for is Harrison Bergeron, which is a short story by Kurt Vonnegut. It is also a dystopia. Could have won in the category of dystopia, but here it wins for short story. Harrison Bergeron is a story of a young man who tries to make his way in a world in which everybody must be equal all the time. Kind of a Marxist communist vibe there, and you'll see what happens if you read the story. You can read it in 15 minutes, and your life will probably be edified because you've done so. Poetry, I'm going to give it to Emily Dickinson. Now again, I don't know about this cover or the title of this book, but find Emily Dickinson's poems in whatever cover or whatever title, and you will probably enjoy them very greatly. They're very short, but she does make you think really hard each time, and everything she says is richly profound and perhaps even sublime. Coming of age story, we're going to give it to The Outsiders. I love The Outsiders. The movie has one of the best casts of all time, but the book is really stunning too. I love it and my kids love it, though some discretion should be advised. Parents, when you're thinking about whether or not your kids can read a story like this, you should probably read it first because it does have some mature themes in the book. Best for patristic theology, gotta give one to a very early writer, and we'll do so by giving Justin Martyr the award for his first and second apologies. A very interesting glimpse into Christianity in the first couple of centuries AD. Adult novel, gotta be Moby Dick, one of the greatest novels ever written, very complex, rich, textured. I think I said it in the previous video, but Herman Melville demonstrates the fact that he can write in practically every genre of literature throughout this book. That was one of his points, is to prove his own academic kudos, I suppose you could say, his own bona fides as a writer. He tries to write in various styles, from technical to sermonic even, and he creates one of the greatest storylines of all time with the battle against the white whale. Homiletics, we'll give that a category, and the winner here is Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones's Preaching and Preachers, 40th anniversary here text, but you don't have to get this particular one, but man, this is a great book on preaching. Philosophy, Plato wins the Best Book of All Time award for his stories of Socrates, his own teacher and mentor. The stories of Socrates are charming and very interesting, always thought-provoking, sometimes moving, sometimes gross and weird. But certainly everything Plato writes comes across as kind of a mind grenade that makes you really think about what he's talking about. As for a tract, we're going to give a short tract category here. The winner is going to be A Defense of Calvinism by Charles Spurgeon. This is a book that you can probably read in 15 to 20 minutes, and Charles Spurgeon goes through the 5 points of Calvinism, defending each one from Holy Scripture. And that's it. That's it for the awards. Okay, we did them all. So that was my best awards in every single category, every genre. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post a link to these books, not only on my main page where you can click down on the links and you can go to my whole document that I have that lists all 100 books, but I'll post some links straight to Amazon in the description of this video as well, so you can get some of these. Okay, thanks for checking in. Do love you lots. Talk to you later.